What's going on with Jake Paul, Conor McGregor? Is that fight happening or what?
Probably not.
Dana White has officially reached his limit with celebrity boxing. Despite the undeniable market for these kinds of fights, he absolutely cannot stand them and refuses to entertain the notion. It's likely keeping him up at night, especially with the recent buzz about Jake Paul potentially stepping into the ring with Conor McGregor. Dana finds this idea utterly absurd and simply cannot let it go unchallenged.
Came out yesterday and said, well, now that you love me. Well, I never said I love you.
Let's be honest. Jake Paul, the self-proclaimed YouTuber turned fighter, isn't even in the same league as Conor McGregor. How Jake manages to convince himself that he's a legitimate competitor to a UFC legend is baffling. But hey, delusion doesn't cost a thing.
Well, he shouldn't even be fighting Conor McGregor. These guys are fucking huge. He's huge. His brother's huge. I mean, what's your brother, 6'1"?
Yeah.
210?
Yeah.
Conor McGregor's 145, 155 pounds.
Oh, he fights that low. I thought he fights like that.
Dana isn't just rejecting this fight. He's predicting the disaster it would be. To him, Jake prancing around like he's redefining boxing is making a mockery of the sport. This isn't just a mismatch. It's a betrayal of every boxing fan who wants to see real talent, not a social media spectacle. And honestly, he's not wrong.
I'm looking for the absolute best in the world. These guys who have trained their whole life, they fight in these smaller shows and then they make it to the UFC and we put the best against the best. It's just not what we do. There's a market for what these guys do and there's money to be made in it.
Conor McGregor finally got the boot. It seems Dana White has had enough of everyone's favorite Irish loudmouth avoiding Jake Paul. That's right. Dana White has apparently drawn the line at Jake Paul. And why? Because Conor, the UFC's golden boy, didn't want to tarnish his legacy by stepping into the circus that Jake Paul has made of combat sports.
Conor McGregor's one of the best on the fucking planet. He's one of the greatest fighters on earth right now.
And he's got
He shouldn't be fighting kids that have fucking YouTube videos, okay?
The circus is already here, and Conor's refusal to join the freak show is apparently a deal breaker.
When there's the Floyd-Conor fight, you know, the fans wanted to see it. Everybody wanted to see it. That fight took on a life of its own. Floyd and I got together and figured it out and it made sense and we did it. So
Let's start with Jake Paul, the internet troll turned millionaire boxer, who has somehow convinced people he's a legitimate fighter. This guy's been pulling in 1.2 million pay-per-view buys like it's nothing and raking in $40 million a year, much to the dismay of boxing purists. Love him or hate him, Jake knows how to sell a fight, even if it's all smoke and mirrors. However, the idea of him stepping into the ring with Conor McGregor is where Dana White draws the line.
listen, he's a young kid out there trying to make some money.
Let's start with Jake Paul, the internet troll turned millionaire boxer who somehow convinced people he's a legitimate fighter. This guy's been pulling in 1.2 million pay-per-view buys like it's nothing and raking in $40 million a year, much to the dismay of boxing purists. Love him or hate him, Jake knows how to sell a fight, even if it's all smoke and mirrors. However, the idea of him stepping into the ring with Conor McGregor is where Dana White draws the line. Dana White has made it abundantly clear that he has no intention of letting Jake Paul taint the UFC's legacy. The irony here is thick, considering the UFC has hosted some absolute dumpster fires of fights before. Now, Conor McGregor, the man, the myth, the walking whiskey advertisement, is one of the richest fighters in the game, sitting pretty on $600 million in career earnings. But let's not pretend that money hasn't been his main motivator for a while now. He has a fight lined up with Dustin Poirier on Fight Island. And sure, he looks great on Instagram. Ripped, jacked, ready to reclaim his throne. But avoiding Jake Paul, that's not just about weight classes or protecting a legacy. It's about Conor knowing exactly how ridiculous it would look to the world if he even entertained the idea. Dana White hates celebrity fights. He really hates them. He's called them out for being disrespectful to the sport and for undermining the blood, sweat, and years of training that real fighters put in. Yet, he's mad at Conor for not jumping into that exact mess. Make it make sense, Dana. While you're over here preaching about preserving the UFC's integrity, Jake Paul is laughing all the way to the bank, cashing checks bigger than most UFC fighters will ever see. Let's start with the weight class excuse. Conor's prime fighting weight is 155 pounds. That's not a fight. It's a slaughter waiting to happen. But hey, when has logic ever stopped Dana from trying to make a quick buck? The man sees dollar signs, and suddenly physics doesn't exist. If he could, he'd probably have Francis Ngannou fighting a kangaroo, if it meant breaking a pay-per-view record. What this really comes down to is Dana's frustration with the whole celebrity boxing trend. There is a market for these kinds of fights. It's not just Jake Paul, though Jake is definitely the poster child for everything Dana despises. It's the fact that these fights are pulling attention and money away from the UFC. While Dana is busy shouting about preserving the sport, Jake and his brother Logan are turning combat sports into a WWE storyline, and people are eating it up. You see, the UFC isn't just another fight promotion, it's a dynasty. Dana's kingdom is built on grit, dedication, and the blood of fighters who've climbed their way to the top. Viral TikToks and YouTube stunts don't cut it here. That's why he's dead set on keeping the UFC's reputation intact, far from the neon glow of Jake Paul's Instagram antics. Let's break it down. Celebrity fights aren't new, but they've recently gone full throttle into ridiculous territory. Look at Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Logan lost to KSI, for crying out loud, but somehow waltzed into a fight with Floyd, one of the greatest boxers of all time. Sure, it raked in millions of views, but to Dana, it was the combat sports version of fast food, flashy, unhealthy, and leaves you questioning your life choices. And then there's CM Punk, the WWE star who thought he could moonwalk into the UFC octagon. He got wrecked. His humiliating stint highlighted exactly why Dana draws the line at celebrity fights. Compare that disaster to Brock Lesnar, who didn't just join the UFC, but became a heavyweight champ. Why? Years of real training and competition. Dana's frustration isn't just personal, it's business. The UFC pulls in $1 billion a year. That's not pocket change. Dana knows what keeps those numbers climbing: credibility. If he lets the octagon turn into a playground for influencers, the UFC risks losing its soul. And let's not forget the fans. They're not here for YouTuber slapfests. They're here to watch elite athletes go to war. But Dana's disdain for celebrity fights doesn't mean he doesn't admire legends like Mike Tyson or Floyd Mayweather. He respects fighters who have put in the work and made their mark on the sport through sheer talent and hard work. It's the spectacle of untrained internet personalities stepping into the ring that grates on him. In the end, Dana White's battle against celebrity boxing is about preserving the integrity of the sport he loves. While Jake Paul and his ilk continue to cash in on the trend, Dana remains steadfast in his commitment to real fighters and real fights. And honestly, who can blame him?